These days, a lot of organizations have moved to working from office once again. However, there are also organizations which have gone for hybrid work or still have work from home. A question I keep getting asked is, in the situation of virtual work or work from home, how do leaders manage their team members? Or how do you motivate remote teams? So, I would prefer to share 5 points with you in this context in terms of how leaders could manage virtual teams or teams working from home, where team members work from various parts of the country or from various parts of the world. How can such teams be managed more effectively? The first point is that of communication. Especially when you have team members across, you will have to ensure that the process of communication is constant. You have to do regular calls and discussions with the team, and you will also need to find your own ways to not only motivate your team members but also have a bit of a fun, because the issue is when you're working virtually, the entire office ambience is somewhere not present. So there can be ways in addition to communication whereby you can have your team members engage in a bit of fun activities virtually. So, one very popular activity which a lot of organizations did, especially at the peak of the pandemic, was have virtual pizza parties where pizzas were delivered to team members across various regions, and at a predetermined time the entire team used to come together virtually through Zoom or in any other platform and possibly have the pizza and some chat together. Okay, they used to have an informal discussion, and that actually enabled to build some level of camaraderie, which worked well for a lot of organizations. So communication and ensuring that the team does some fun activities together, that's going to be extremely important when you're managing remote teams. The second element is, in addition to group level initiatives, also you need to do check-ins or connect with individuals on a one-on-one basis. So at times you just need to reach out to individuals. Maybe you don't even ask anything about work, rather you ask your team member how she or he is feeling. How is the person coping up? This would actually make a lot of difference. The reality is, leadership needs to happen at an individual as well as group level. Many a times, leaders restrict communication with their team members to the group level. So that is necessary. However, on an ongoing basis, at least once in a week, doing a one-on-one check-in with each team member, which should not be a review. Of course, you may have a one-on-one review with your team members. However, just picking up the phone or just connecting virtually with your team member and just asking, how is this particular person doing, or how are you doing? That's going to be extremely important. That is a reassuring factor for your team member when she or he realizes that there is a leader for him or her who is there to support, and this leader is going beyond just work and also cares for him or her well-being. So you'll actually need to do that. That is, interact with team members on a one-on-one basis as well. The third element, rather than being a boss, the leader needs to be a coach. So when you're managing teams or team members remotely, you can't just give instructions. You will have to coach people to perform well in the job. So be a coach rather than just a boss. The fourth element is that of trust. In a remote working environment, it is imperative to have trust. You have to ensure that you have the right amount of trust in your team members. In case you realize that a certain team member is possibly taking you for a ride or taking matters for granted, you will have to communicate that to the team member. However, the crux of remote working is trust. because you are not monitoring that person, or you should not monitor that person or micromanage, be it whether someone is working from office or be that person is working from home or anywhere else. So trusting team members is extremely important. And last, however not least, be prepared to give a slightly longer rope to your team members when they're working from home. Because when you're working from home, you like it or not, there are always going to be some level of distractions at home. Nevertheless, what I've seen, as long as people are trusted, and when they realize that they need to live up to the expectations of their superiors or the organization, they go an extra way or extra mile to do that. So somewhere you have to give people the long rope. As I mentioned earlier, in case you feel there is any deviation, communicate that openly with the team members. But understand, in remote working, giving people slightly longer slightly longer rope would be extremely important, because there are factors of work from home where there may be slight distractions, and someone may actually end up doing some personal task in between the work timings. But let me also ensure you that most people, even if they take even 10 minutes out during their schedule to do something, in personal nature, people have that thought that they need to give that time back to the organization, and hence they end up spending longer hours. So these are the few points which I wanted to share with you. Managing remote teams is not easy. However, in case you implement these points suggested by me, and I'm sure you have your own approach in terms of leadership in managing your remote teams, I'm sure everything would go well, and you would get even more success for your team as well as for your organization. Thank you.